Welcome back, Year 7. It's Mr. Baines again. Well done for the work that you did last lesson. I was very impressed with some of the work that I've seen being handed in. Last lesson, we compared how the Romans and the Normans invaded Britain. This lesson, we're looking at the similarities and the differences on how the Romans and the Normans were governed. Today's driving question is, how different was the Roman government to the Norman feudal system? Now, we've looked at both of these before in previous terms, so some of this is revision, and then we are comparing the two. Just like last lesson, you are going to start with the quiz. Go to the knowledge quiz part of this lesson. The first questions are based on last lesson, so what you did on the previous lesson, so lesson 1 based on the invasion. The second half of the quiz is based on revision for this lesson, so things that we have looked at before to help you with this lesson. So a bit of a tip, maybe find your knowledge organisers for these two subjects. If not, just give the quiz a go. Get ready to pause this video and do the quiz. Pause the video now. Brilliant. First, we are going to look at how the Romans were governed. The Roman Republic was founded in 509 BC, after the last king that ruled Rome was overthrown. Rome's next government served as a representative democracy in the form of a republic. Initially, Rome's wealthiest families, the patricians, held power, and only they could hold political or religious offices. Everyone else was considered a plebeian, and no member of this group could hold office. Over a period of nearly 200 years, however, the plebeians fought for and gained power within the government. To overthrow the empire, the Senate was forced to choose a natural-born leader, a general, who understood politics to rule the people. During this period, the plebeians wanted to seize the power, which led to a dictatorship. This led to a political regime and the dictatorships of Julius Caesar and Augustus. A new form of government began in Rome, the Roman Empire. The Romans went from a monarchy to a republic, then to an empire with an emperor. This was a democratic state that ended as a dictatorship. A lot changed on how the Romans were governed. This is different to the Normans, as they stayed a monarchy with one ruler. They started with William, and then his son inherited. So it was a normal monarchy takeover. No changes with the Normans. Now, in the material resources part of this lesson, there is a Google Slides document on Romans. Read this and then go to the tasks. There you will find Task 1. Task 1 looks like the questions you see here. Answer those questions on the sheet. So read the sheet on resources based on the Romans, then answer the Task 1 questions. Pause the video now. Great job! Now we move on to Task 2. In the resources section, where you will find the reading, there is a Roman video. Once you have paused this, watch the video, and on the Google Documents called Task 2, write down up to 10 facts that you have learnt. It's up to 10 facts. Try and get as many facts from that video as you can. Pause the video now. Brilliant stuff. Now we move on to the Normans and see how they compare. The Normans had a system called the Feudal System, with William the King at the top. The feudal system can be thought of as similar to people in a school. Different groups of people have different roles and responsibilities. The higher up the system, the fewer the people. but more responsibility. So in a school, you have the head teacher. In the feudal system for the Normans, you have the king. All the people in the feudal system were needed for it to work, just like in a school. Feudalism in England was set up by William the Conqueror. William was king, but he could not run the country on his own. He needed other people to help him. William gave land and power to the nobles in return for their help and support. William had two problems to deal with. After the Battle of Hastings, he had promised those who had supported his invasion that they would be richly rewarded. He needed to keep these supporters loyal to him. He also knew he could not control the country on his own, so he needed help, and this is why he created the feudal system in Britain. As you can see, the king, William, is at the top of the feudal system. After the Battle of Hastings, William used the feudal system to reward. William made his most supporters into barons or nobles and granted them land. In return, they had to make sure there were enough knights and soldiers for his army. The nobles in return received land as their reward. Some received huge amounts of land. The nobles paid homage, a promise, and swore an oath of fealty or loyalty. This was a promise of supplying the knights and soldiers to William. In exchange for the knights fighting for the nobles, they received land. They promised to fight for 40 days a year. Knights were trained soldiers and were members of the nobility, but not as high as nobles. The downside is that knights and nobles are not farmers, so they needed someone to keep their land. The farming was done by the peasants, who lived on the lands that the knights controlled. The peasants worked on the land and paid taxes. In exchange, the nobles and knights kept the peace. The peasants did not get much out of this feudal system. A massive difference between this and the Romans is that the Roman system is more fair to the poorest in society, as they have some representation. The plebeians had some power. Another difference is the fact that the Normans don't like the use of slaves. The Anglo-Saxons had slaves in their feudal system, whereas the Normans got rid of them. The Romans kept their slaves. Now, to add to that knowledge, read the Norman sheet on the resources section of the lesson and answer the questions that you see here on task 3 in the task section. They should look like the questions you see here. You can also use the feudal system videos to help you. Go and read, watch and work. Pause this now. Nice one. Now you are on to task 4. Using everything you have learnt, annotate the feudal system with as much detail as possible, so you can fill in the 4 pieces here, plus what they did and who gave what to who. The video, that is a cartoon, is very useful for this one. So pause the video, watch the videos, read the reading, and have a go at filling this in this feudal system on task 4. Brilliant. So proud of how you guys are working. Keep it up. Now for your exam question. The exam looks like this. All you have to do is complete these sentence starters. This is found on the Google document called exam question. Once you have done that, there is an exit ticket quiz. Do this to improve your quiz score from the beginning. This shows to you that you have learnt and done all the tasks you are meant to do for this lesson. The aim of this quiz is to beat your first quiz score. Well done, guys. You are working so well. Keep this up. When the video ends, off you go to the exam question and the exit ticket. Good luck, and I'll see you all next week. Well done.